What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Christopher Vogt here. So here's an update on the garden. It's nice and big and lush, but it should be a long video, so sit back and enjoy. Alright guys, so there's some plants in the garden that's been grown by seed, and some other ones that have grown from the store-bought. So alright, so let's get into it. This is two plants that I purchased, store-bought. At one time it's chocolate mint. So it's quite lush and fully grown. There are weeds in there. Takes some time, I guess, but I just weeded the garden. I filled up 4 5-gallon buckets to the brim, every one. So chocolate mint, it's definitely a runner. When I trim it to eat it, I just cut the big ones. You can actually germinate this very well in water. 8 varieties of different types of basil. One didn't make it in the germination process. So this row here is just a whole variety of different types of basil. And there's 2 different types of growing things here. This is cow manure, pretty much raw. It's been in here for maybe a couple months, but newer. At the end there's another row of basil, and that's just runoff from water and a lot more wet, different soil. So it's going to be they grow differently, definitely from my observation. Alright, so here's peppermint, and this was actually a root. And from when I took the plant out, this was the root that it turned into. So I'm going to do something here. I'm going to get close with the camera and get a good shot. Here is seeded eggplant, so from seed. Alright, so here's cinnamon basil. And a sweet basil there. So here's there's 2 plants here on the other side. There's another eggplant. Haven't gotten it, and this is just massive, Chris. So basically, if there were eggplant, because this was a nitrogen, and it affects how things bloom. But very big, very lush. A lot of branches, but we shall see. Here's snap peas by seed. Basil. Saying about the eggplant, if there were an eggplant, I would have to trellis or stake every eggplant. That's how big the stems are. Alright, so here's Italian oregano. It's store-bought, but it has gotten bigger here. This is where the cucumber large one was, so really nice soil here. Garden, I purchased a wildflower bag, pretty much very good seed. It's got the tiny flowers here. This one gets about, I don't know, there's one over there for about 6-7 foot. We'll take a look at it, but there's a whole variety here. It blooms sometimes, but more sun they get, more they bloom. There's a little lettuce, starting to bloom, not good, but yeah, it'll bring some pollination seeds too. Store-bought tomato, cherry tomato there. It's melted all back, but variety of basil. It's all, I mean, each basil is the same batch, but there's a bunch in here. Some onions. Basil. There's a lot, like I said, but they should grow nice and lush. Here's a Tabasco hot pepper plant. So Tabasco. Peppers grow pretty well with the nitrogen, but this one was store-bought. Tomato plant, not doing so well, but it's hanging in there. Basil, another basil. Where's that onion at? So there's basil all through in my garden, but we'll see. Onions, store-bought tomato. It's definitely grown since I purchased it. Store-bought tomato. And then here we got the onion. There's a lot, guys. Another basil. I need to stake this one, but it seems. Here's a by seed. There's 3 left out of all of them, but they definitely grow mature. Bell pepper. I'm not a fan of bell peppers. They're healthy for you, but I don't know. It's just too hot sometimes. Basil. The temperature outside didn't really like that, I guess. Alright, store-bought tomato. Here's a Tabasco hot pepper. I got 3 of them in here. So got some peppers on there. Here's a tall tomato plant. Starting to get tall again. I say tomato on it, but effects of the cow manure, it makes them grow but not bloom. Alright, so here's another tomato. These are, they get purple tomatoes, pretty big. There's a lemon palm by seed. Other side of the tomato plant, another one. A herb, I think it's mustard, but I could be mistaken. Lettuce, got over there. Another lettuce. Looks like, what is that? It's a basil. By seed here. Another by seed. Am I zoomed all the way out? Yeah. It looks like a winter theme, or winter time. Another mustard, little onion, basil. I'm turning the camera here. Another winter theme. Winter theme. This peppermint just showed up here, and that's how big it's gotten. Some I think it's parsley there, and then some other herbs there, just very little. Tiny winter theme, grows pretty well. Got a big one in the garden from seed. It's my sprinkler. Okay, so this is slow bolt arugula, something like that. Where's that mint? Alright, it's over here. So here's peppermint, or it looks like peppermint. It was grown from seed. It was tiny, but then it grew. Here's another lettuce. Here's a wildflower from it was a long time ago. It was almost a year. So I think it should be ready to bloom real shortly. Alright, so there's the other side of the eggplant. This one's not as big, probably due to sun, but it's definitely big enough to produce fruit, but the nitrogen keeps it. I'm gonna dose some other fertilizer maybe. The cow manure that I used. That's it. Alright, so here is cinnamon basil. Cinnamon basil and Thai. We'll get there. But these were big when I purchased them. They're still big. This one's massive. Oh my goodness. That's big. Yellow mustard. I had to put the basil in here because I ran out of spots. And then my basil. So these basils here are just from seed. What fell off the fruit, or the herb. Here's another tomato. This turns purple tomato. I have another batch of collards, what I planted first, before I planted this rose. But we'll just get right into it. So collard greens, there are, what is it? Well, they're starting to root in. Been in here for almost a month, 3 weeks and a half. Alright, let me walk. And when I first started my garden, it wasn't very lush, and you could walk everywhere. Alright, what is that? More collard greens. Here's some kale, different type. Probably shouldn't have planted some too deep, but they should be alright. They're starting to root in now. They're in nitrogen, very young nitrogen. Alright, so this what you see here is a basil plant, and I trimmed it off the big ones and put it in water, and this is what it's become. I have some in the house. The Thai and the cinnamon basil really grow well in water. So if it's too wet or too dry, and when you plant seed, yeah, you could rot some seeds. But this is a wildflower. This will have lots of shoots, like you see this one weighing it down. Alright, here's something exciting, I guess. Here's a stevia plant with some massive flowers on it. Pretty, huh? There's a lot of them. It's really not good for taste, but alright, so here's a kale that I grew from seed. Here's a jalapeno plant, pepper. It was big when I purchased it. It's got some flowers, not too many though. They did turn red. You've seen them in the video before. Gotta get in here. Here's another jalapeno pepper. You see it's a big one. Produced some good fruit though. Alright, so here's a mint that I grew from propagation. I'll get over I should be over there, but here's some okra grown from okra plant. This is another propagation in water mint variety in there. Flower. It was in a pot, but it grew a lot bigger. It was big when I was in there, but I transplanted it into the ground and it seems like it's taken. Here's some asparagus grown from seed. Needs to be transplanted. Basil. Here's a peppermint that grew from seed. Here's a lemongrass. I have 3 in here. This is the smaller one. The other 2 are the bigger one. Here's trying to get a winter theme. This is what I grew from seed, but very big, lush, smells great. Here, and look at that grew from seed. Let me try to get it. It's a big stem there. Definitely grew up to be that. So here's a Tabasco pepper plant. It's got a lot of Tabasco. Wow, more than the other ones, probably because of the sun. But very lush. Alright, speaking of lush, let me get in here. Here's an okra store-bought. They're a little different, but here's an okra that was seeded, bought or planted from seed. There's 2 here. We'll see the stems in a second, but here, let me get over there. So my first batch of okra didn't really do well. It did in the beginning, and then this was my second batch here. And you can eat the leaves, you can eat the flowers, you can eat the fruit, the okra vegetable. It says fruit, but it's green. But you can see how many okras I use, seeds, and this is what they turned out. They definitely do like a lot of water, that's for sure. Here's Italian oregano, store-bought, bought in the same place. So the peppermint over there was grown from seed. It looked like this, but then it gets bigger. Speaking of peppermint, this was actually the plant I took out over there and planted it over here. It wasn't a trench where it got lots of water and it wasn't high enough, so it kind of melted back, but this is what it's become. Alright, so here's another seed or propagation water, variety of different mints. Here's the other side of the store-bought okra, the other one. The trick is to eat your okra when they're small so they're not tough. But they're definitely delicious. I think they taste like a pepper in a way, but that's just me. Alright, so this one was in propagation of water. I could just chop up that chocolate mint, put it anywhere, and it'll grow massive. See, it's already starting to run. That was from that one plant. Here's habanero. Between the jalapeno red and the habanero orange, habanero is definitely hotter, that's for sure. Flower. Wasn't probably a month and a half ago I planted it out of the pot. It was a small one. It got a lot of water and it didn't make it. A lot of it didn't make it, but this one just turned out fine. There's 2 habanero plants in here. This is the other one. So they become green and then they turn orange when they get hottest. Alright. This is a wildflower. This one blooms very soon from now. I'm very excited to see what kind of flower it's got. Speaking of flowers, here's another wildflower plant from almost a year ago. Alright, I can get over here. This is, but looks like winter theme in a way. I'm not sure. They're all the same. I forgot about these, but they were here the whole time. Alright, what am I looking at? Lettuces, there's a variety there. Camera's gonna go whack. Alright, so 16 tomato plants that I've only lost 2. We'll get a closer look. So they're all the same brand of tomato. There's jalapeno peppers, there's 16 too. Haven't lost one of those, but it's definitely a lot of them. And here's sage, or garden sage or something. But it should be. Look, it's a little lizard. Hey, buddy. You just bite me. The lettuce. There are some mixture of peppers in here, but I don't think they're going to be any harvest. This in the freeze will take them. Here's okra, the first batch. This one's hanging in there. This one's melted back a little bit, and that one's melted back, died back a little bit. But these were lush like the other ones, but something didn't happen right. Here's the big lemongrass. There's two here. They grow pretty fast, but it's very big. There's the other one. It's good for making tea or something like. You can eat the actual stalks inside, the white. Very healthy for you. Put them in salads. Never done it, but it should be good to try. Just get a closer look at the tomato plants. These jalapeno peppers has gotten bigger since purchase. They were 6-packs, and they had a lot of foliage on them. Look pretty good and healthy. So I definitely purchased them and put them in this little area. This is where the kumquat trees, they didn't make it, not a root on them. So they went in the garbage. So here's a peppermint in here. I do have herbs all around my garden to repel pests, and little onion. Alright, so this is broccoli. This was actually the second purchase of this kind. So here's the broccoli, and then it goes up here. This is the runoff. This is runoff water from the house, this whole row. Here's collard greens. There's 6 here. These are the first ones I planted, and you should see they're a little bigger. I guess we're going over there, Chris. Alright, so here's kale. I definitely like this kale a lot better. It seems that it's just growing a lot better. This one's already put new leaves on. These have been in here for about 2 weeks, maybe 3. Another kale. Here's a banana pepper plant. Gotten some good banana peppers. There's actually some on there. Big ones. Oh, need to be picked. So this is what I was saying. The different soils between the 2 basil rows. This one is mostly like sugar sand. There's nitrogen on the bottom, but nice basil growth. I do think these are more healthier than the other ones, but we shall see. Alright, I meant to get the picture over there for the shot, but okay, so this is the other peppermint plant. Get a close up here. So the tastiest I think is chocolate mint. The stems are edible. Peppermint stems are a little tough, hard. So I don't think they're definitely chocolate mint's the way to go. So here's garlic chives. This is store-bought. I actually have some chives garlic. We'll take a look at those in a second. Another peppermint, store-bought. Should grow very lush. And then what is that, Chris? Yes, that's what it is. Some onions, and there's the other garlic chives, some other onions. That's how big the peppers got that I planted from seed. There's more in the pots, but we shall take a look in a second. Alright, so here's the other 2 banana pepper plants. I'm getting tired here. There's 3 total in here. Like I said, the kale, it's all good, growing well. We're not there yet. More kale. Alright, so we're at the broccoli now. Alright, so this is the wildflower I was telling you about. Oh, it's so big. Let me go back down. So I think so it'll have big blooms. Should bring some pollination or what. Alright, I'm gonna stop. I planted more broccoli. There goes a moth. No, Mr. Froggy. Wildflower again. And big lush broccoli. It's flowering though. I heard you can eat the leaves like broccoli, and they're nutritious just like broccoli, so we'll have to give that a shot and try. Another wildflower. Okay, so let's take a look at these chives. These ones were grown directly in a pot, in a peat moss pot, and for months, and finally got them in the ground, and they definitely took in. The roots kept growing through the peat moss all the time. Here's a peppermint or chocolate mint, one or the other. And it was just, I found it somewhere, I planted it there. And it just grew. Some chamomile German, not much from those. Here's some cabbage, we're gonna go to the cabbage. Here's a, mosquito. Bell pepper. Let me get in here. Alright, so these two lemon palm mints family were lush and big when I got them, but they definitely got bigger. Oh, sorry. But definitely berry. Well, if you like the nitrogen too much, I think it burned it a little bit. Alright, so here's some cabbage. Let me get out of this wildflower. Another raspberry plant. It's got thorns on it. Here's a cabbage row. Here's a basil that just grew there randomly. The dwarf blueberry bushes are doing just fine. Cabbage, mint right in its area, but it should be alright. It's supposed to keep pests away, or rats or something, who knows. Peppermint. Here's a winter theme. Harvested some from it. Winter theme. Some basil seeded. Another basil down there. Alright, we'll get over here. More basil. These are carrots. This plant is a flower, and it's blocked a lot of sun and damaged a lot of them. But carrots go all the way down. Here's some smaller eggplant, seeded eggplant. Other side of the basil. Under the sage tree. Now, I didn't do an update on these last time the update took place. I did. Oh, there's no one here. Chamomile German. Seem to be doing good under here. There's another one, newer one. New additions in these pots here. That's all lettuce. Lettuce. I did try to plant marjoram, a lot of seeds, but we should see. Looks like this one might be the marjoram. This is some type of Chinese kind of flower kind of deal. Here's wildflowers from Lowe's. These are all wildflowers from Amazon. They're the same that's in the garden now. Here's another Amazon or Lowe's wildflowers. Not so good as these ones. These come up real fast. Here's tomato plants. Here's a whole variety of different wildflowers. This one hasn't bloomed yet, but probably get in the ground soon to come. Here's another batch of seeds. So what you see here is that they're under the soil is very good for keeping moisture. I use garden soil for potting soil, but we should see. So the mulberry is definitely growing in. It's got some vines, but it's definitely doing well. So there's about 8 different pots of wildflowers here. So I'm just gonna walk and walk. Alright, so here's some lettuce. Lettuce. Alright, so these pots here are just same kind, but the variety and all of peppers. I just wanted to use the peppers, so I used them. There's a mix of tomato plant seeds, but in different ones. Ones that you don't see as much. Oh, that's a pepper, holy cow. Alright, I'm sweating. Alright, so here's a wildflower from Lowe's. Germinated fine in there. Same one over here. Same one over here. Tomatoes and peppers variety. And lettuce. A new addition is spearmint. Keep pests away over the fence or something like that. I don't know. Starting to run, but should be good. Alright, here's some turnips that were seed grown. So they're scattered out through there. It's got this little fence for me not to walk into it, but definitely they're growing up from seed, so they're growing. Some flowers real quick. melted back when I planted them, but alright. So the same ones over there, this is what they'll look like when they grow. They have been harvested and eaten, hopefully. Here's another row of cabbage, needs some more sun. Oh, look at that, guys. A weed. I forgot about it. Alright. So they say with this stevia, you can actually cut it and put it in your house. And you can see it's bloomed. I know I already got it on camera, but it's just so pretty. But it should give lots of little babies of stevia everywhere. Should be good to try. Alright, that concludes the garden update. So, should be like, comment, subscribe, and take it easy. Peace.